Middle East is a completely different world, culturally, politically, and socially. It's a world where the main religion is Islam, and women are not supposed to leave the home. It's a world where terror rules, and children are restricted and isolated. The social structure of the Middle East, as in many other cultures, based on wealth. At the top is the upper class, including the kings, presidents, clerics of Iran, businessmen, and top military men. This class consisted of 2% of the population. Next in line are the modern professionals. These men are white-collar with university educations. They aspire to power and political development. Arabs make up the majority of ethnic groups in the Middle East. 55% of Persians are in Iran. 82% of Jewish people are in Israel. The bourgeois are the top of small businessmen. The clerical class is intellectual and has a strong appeal to the masses. The workers are an unskilled labor power. They are only employed through unions. On the contrary, the peasants who did not work have almost no political power except in turmoil. The peasants lived in poverty. Afghanistan has a totalitarian government and is run by extreme Islam beliefs. The government wanted to seize and wield absolute power. They also wanted to restrict the rights of citizens, especially women. The Taliban is mostly from Madras, Pakistan. The Taliban rose up because there was not enough Pashtun representation in the government, and they believed in imposing stricter Islamic values. In 2000, the Taliban controlled 95% of Afghanistan and only a small corner in the northeast. Panjshir Valley was opposed to this. While the Taliban was in power, many human rights were restricted. Women were not allowed to leave the house without a man. They could not work outside the home, and they were forced to always wear a burqa. In 2001, the Taliban destroyed all pre-Islamic statues, including all holdings in a museum in Kabul. During their reign, most of the country fell into widespread poverty.
September 11th, 2001 was the Taliban invaded and attacked America. Since the mid-1990s, the Taliban sanctioned Osama bin Laden for publicly supporting the Taliban. Bin Laden was also believed to be responsible for the attack on 9/11. The U.S. invaded Afghanistan on October 7, 2001. A bombing followed an invasion, and the U.S. took over northern Afghanistan, and the Taliban control was reduced to a smaller region following this invasion.
There were three main ethnic groups in the Middle East: Arabs, Turks, and Iranians. Jews were mainly found in Israel. The most well-known languages include Arabic, Turkish, and Persian. People that are more educated are also known to speak English and French. Religion is also a major cultural identity. The major religion in the Middle East is Islam, which is the religion of the Muslims. There are two branches that break from Islam, known as the Sunni Islam is the larger one, and the Shia Islam. The Shia Islam can be found spread throughout Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon. Another religion practiced in Lebanon is Christianity, practiced by some Arabs. Judaism is the modern state of Israel. Most people in the Middle East have a living of a settled farmer. A large number of the population has moved into the cities. The Middle East has been known as the cradle of civilization for many years. People of the Middle East created many inventions such as the code of law, writing systems, mechanical inventions like the wheel, and the development of sciences and mathematics. A typical Arab house in the desert is built out of mud and has little furniture. In the mountains of Lebanon, Syria, or Turkey, one will encounter strong homes with heavy stones and arches that can last for generations. In addition, food in these areas is usually produced during summertime and stored in cellars for use when nature does not allow them to go out and work their snow-covered fields. Islam became the driving force in the life of philosophy of the people and their leaders who converted to Islam, and spreading Islam became a force that expanded the reach of Middle East and its peoples all the way from Spain to Indonesia in the present day. Outsiders to the area, such as European crusaders, Mongol invaders, and colonial powers of the last 100 years, have introduced much violence and left the impression on the people of the area that foreign governments are not to be trusted and are there to harm the people. French is spoken as a second language in some countries that were under French influence, like Lebanon, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, and Iran. The conversations are animated and loud while at the dinner table, and the eldest person has the priority in being served food. If invited to a restaurant, it is customary that the host is usually the one that pays. Guests are honored with the exclusive parts of the sheep, such as the eyes, tongue, and head, per Arab tradition. A man's duty is to protect women and provide them with food, shelter, and security.
The Quran is a base to understanding male and female social roles in this part of the world. The Middle East countries are highly corrupt countries according to research conducted by various international and independent entities. In mathematics, Muslims scholars introduced the use of zero solutions to quadratic equations, even the Arabic word algebra. Muslim astronomers knew the Earth was round and calculated its diameter.
They were also first to recognize the contagious nature of tuberculosis, identify meningitis, and describe all the minute parts of the eye. Calligraphic design is omnipresent in Islamic art, whereas in Europe in the Middle Ages, religious exhortations, including the Quranic verses, may be included in secular objects, especially coins, tiles, and metalwork, and most painted miniatures include some script, as do many buildings. Other inscriptions include verses of poetry and inscriptions recording ownership or donation.
Malaria and plague are both serious diseases that you can contract in the Middle East and can be fatal if left untreated. Migration has long shaped the Middle East. Climate change is among the multitude of factors that continue to influence migration dynamics in the region. Instability and conflict, high rates of unemployment and underemployment, and perceived and actual socio-economic opportunities abroad have also contributed to a surge in irregular migration. 50 years of rapid population growth in the Middle East is coming to an end. The Middle East is experiencing the same demographic transition to slow population growth that other areas have gone through. The immediate reason for the slower population growth is a fall in the number of children born to the average woman over her lifespan, known as the total fertility rate. In the Middle East, as in much of the world, the demographic story in the past 50 years was rapid population growth, which placed a heavy burden on economics from 2000 to 2050. Estimates show the region's populations will not quite double compared to the almost four-fold increase from 1950 to 2000. Further, the growth rate is continuing to drop in the 2020 to 2050 period and is expected to be 0.6% a year.
Throughout the Middle East, there were many different kinds of agricultural productions that had a big impact during that time, like different climate patterns, soil changes, and fertile plains. During the summertime, there was not very much water production for when the food needs to be grown. From all the water needed, there was about 90% of that water that was devoted to food production. In the Middle East are two major rivers that are extremely important to society. The Tigris and the Euphrates rivers play a crucial role to society in many ways. Some of these ways are for irrigation, cultivation, and for drinking and domestic use. The trading system for the Middle East included foreign exchange, new technologies, food imports, human resources, and industrial products. The Middle East is also the second largest employer. There was labor protection, slave labor, which occurred with the higher developed societies, and forced labor for other people that are charged. With the industrialization of the economies in the Middle East, there were multiple changes in the labor force, rises of the market economies, and in the living standards.
The Taliban took over the government of Afghanistan at the end of 2000. Right now, the main ethnic groups in the Middle East are the Arabs, the Turks, and the Iranians. Because of their restricted rights, women are forced to wear burqas, which cover their entire bodies, in public. It is run by a totalitarian government with extreme Islamic beliefs. Okay, so we just got done talking about the Middle East. It was very interesting. Thanks for watching this special on the Middle East, right here on the Learning Network.